So today we are joined by Commander Bhim Reddy. He's a veteran in armed forces turned cybersecurity entrepreneur. He's the founder and CEO of the brand Hacker Central. The owning company name is Offensive Defense Cybersecurity Solutions. Uh, Welcome, Bhim. Are you there?
Yeah. Here. Good morning, sir. Good morning to the viewers.
Oh, very welcome, Bhim. And let me give a little bit introduction about Bhim. His startup that goes by the brand name Hacker Central is basically specializing in providing cybersecurity skill development and training for individuals as well as corporates, government organizations, and universities in India and abroad. भीम जो है वो एज इंडिपेंडेंट कंसल्टेंट भी काम करते हैं फॉर फ्यू ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस in driving large scale projects and for setting up cybersecurity infrastructures that also includes big names like Mahindra Defense Venture Systems. As we go along, we'll gain deeper insights and guidance from you from your journey, sir. So, without wasting much time, and if all of you have not seen our previous videos with Beam, you must go through it. They are on the Value Talk channels. So, without wasting much time, let's go ahead, Beam, and let's deep dive and see what cybersecurity is all about. इस एपिसोड का जो फोकस है वो रहेगा डीमिस्टिफाइंग साइबर सिक्योरिटी. बेसिकली वील टॉक अबाउट सर्टेन मिथ्स जो किसी भी इंडिविजुअल को डिस्करेज करते हैं कि नहीं साइबर सिक्योरिटी तो बहुत बड़ा एक हवा है बहुत देयर सो मेनी मिथ्स associated with this particular field. So we'll debunk myths and unfold the basics and set the foundation for exploring the cybersecurity journey. Right, Bheem? So let's dive in.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Manish, sir, and Value Talks for giving me this opportunity. And always happy to help the fraternity and share my journey and whatever information I have, uh, you know, for the betterment of our fraternity and also everybody else who can benefit out of it.
It's not only our fraternity beam. Actually, if you really see, the videos are relevant for everyone, for the spouses, for the wards
Yes.
of veterans, and for anybody who's interested in cybersecurity. So, आज हम बात करेंगे demystifying cybersecurity, right?
Yes, sure. Definitely we'll talk about it.
So let's not waste any more time and let's start. So cyber security जो है भीम, it is लोग जिस तरीके से इसको देखते हैं, the way it is perceived as an overly complex and highly technical field. Can you clarify or debunk some of the common myths and share a simplified view of what cybersecurity is all about?
Yes, definitely. See, at the end of it, any technology, when you go to an advanced stage, it will become complicated and it will become, for example, physics that we study in class 7, 8, and all that. When it goes to a certain level, like what the relative theory and all becomes very complicated. Right? So everything boils down to the foundations. If your foundations and the basic skills are good, then absolutely this field becomes easier, much easier to handle. Though I wouldn't say that I wouldn't, give that wrong notion that everything is hunky-dory and you don't have to study, you just have to get into the profession kind of a thing. There is a lot of work that has to be put in. But if your foundations are clear, for though we have a lot of larger audience, if I may address the armed forces officers, for the armed forces, we do understand security is all about mindset, right? So we are already in that mindset. We do understand what security is. We do understand what physical security is, what layers of security is, what defense in depth means, or what layered security means, right? So if you just overlap that into the cyber domain, over the IT infrastructure, whatever we do to secure the organization falls under the domain of the cyber security or information security that we talk about. So it's just about we understand basics, take it relatively easy. If foundations are very clear, cybersecurity becomes much easier to handle.
Great. So and एक और जो myth है लोगों के दिमाग में कि cyber security is only about hacking, getting into somebody's system and coding and isn't cybersecurity also about strategy, risk management, and ensuring the availability of digital resources? मतलब I may have a security mindset, but I may not be very good in, say, the core offensive cybersecurity, but I still have options of being a cybersecurity professional. Is that right?
Yes, I mean, everybody knows about hacking, right? Everybody, if you ask youngsters, of course, everybody wants to become a hacker. Okay, so there's a glamour quotient associated to it, which is very good for the profession because then it attracts also people who have that kind of aptitude or looking at this as a career path kind of a thing. But that's not the only thing that's there, right? So hacking, if I have to give an example, I always, when I talk to students, especially, I always give them the example of this movie Uri, the movie that has been made on the surgical strikes, right? They have glamorized the entire, the Ghatak operations that we know as, which used to be quite, known only to us. So in that, what happens is that there is a small group of people, right? The small group of commandos who go on the other side and who carry out the offensive ops. But then to support those 10 people, you have thousands of people on this side doing a lot of work. There are people who are setting, policies. There are people who are doing intelligence. They're gathering information. There are people who are actually doing, securing our perimeters so that something comes from the other side. So if you see the defensive part of security occupies a much larger numbers. From this example, it's very clear that for the 10 people that have gone to the other side, there are thousands of people coming out here. Okay, so this is they are specialized guys. They are highly specialized commandos who have trained. Some people like us who have done basic training. After that, there are a few people who are chosen and gone to the other side, right? Who are highly specialized and highly trained. They are the ones who are like the hackers or carrying out the offensive ops. But there are a lot of other people who are on this side, and there are people who are also taking decisions, right? Also setting, carrying out the risk analysis as to what happens if it goes on to the other side and all the other things. Similarly, there are certain um, job profiles in the cybersecurity or information security domain, which does not require very highly specialized, technical acumen. But there are these aspects like governance, risk, and compliance, wherein you carry out risk analysis. You have to know the technology, know-how of technology should be there. You don't have to be expert in any of these technical aspects of it, but know-how of technology has to be there. And then you have the experience to put policies in place, procedures in place. A lot of people who have gone into command headquarters or who've done NHQ, IHQ tenures, and who have done any kind of a command or anything like a second in command 2IC, we already have that kind of a experience to put governance in place and then some kind of compliance. So this for us also acts like an advantage, having a know-how of how the things work, overall things work, putting it into perspective as to how it fits into the overall business aspect, right? So this is called as governance, risk, and compliance, which is totally non-technical, but it's a low-hanging fruit kind of a thing for armed forces officers or people with more experience in the other field. Can cut into that particular field in this thing, and mind you, in this particular space, there's a lot of vacancies available because a lot of people who go from the grassroots level, from network security or software background and all that, they're going into more technical fields. So
Right.
risk analysis, risk management, compliance, setting of policy procedures, governance, and all that is a very specialized field again, which suits for a lot of working professionals who have spent a lot of time, uh, like 20 years, 15 years in the service. That's my
Right.
answer.
Right.
Right.
So let's talk about the basics. What are the fundamental pillars of cybersecurity, and how do they, contribute to the securing the digital environment?
Okay. Right. The fundamental principles will always remain the triad of the what we call it as CIA, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Right. So what happens is that if you have an IT infrastructure or any other thing for that matter, if you have to secure that particular thing, secure that organization. For example, let me not go into technical aspects. Let me just say that we have a base, a military base, whether it is Army, Navy, or Air Force. You have to secure that military base, right? So again, the triad of confidentiality, integrity, and availability applies to that, with a triad of what we call as the people, process, and technology, right? So what happens is these are the basic foundation pillars that you build any IT or any security infrastructure on top of it, right? So if you take an example of a naval base or an army base, where we can talk about, see, certain places have to remain confidential, have to be protected, right? So that is what is confidentiality is. Certain places, the integrity of the information that is coming out or whatever is out there we're protecting has to be maintained right there, right? And also a lot of things have to be available for people to access. So how do we do that? We do that by putting layers of security over one another. So that is what is layered security or defense, a defense in depth kind of an approach that is there. Like you have right at the outer gate, you have somebody checking I-cards, you have somebody have CCTV cameras all over the place for perimeter security. Then as people go into more secure places within your base, there are further security controls that are put in place so that only authorized personnel can actually reach that particular there. So in the cyber domain, when you overlap the same thing and design your architecture accordingly, that becomes the basic foundations of the kind of the information security or cyber security architecture that we're talking. I hope I am able to make it very clear. And also, it's not just about technology. It's always the triad of the people, process, and technology. Right? So till the time you don't put processes in place, people will never know what to do. Even you bring the best of the technology from there, best of whatever is available in the market, you get it out here. Till the time people don't know what kind of process to follow, that will never be put into place. So there has to be leaders who put processes in place that aligns with the business also and the requirements also, right? And also there are certain at the end of it, in the triad of people, process, and technology, the people become very, very critical. So it's very critical for you to train people. Those people who are non-technical up to the highly specialized technical people, training is always the best. I don't have to harp about that over here because we all know the importance of it. Right?
Right,
So
right.
that's mostly about what cybersecurity foundations is about. So if you understand this, then it becomes much easier to lay the layers, put layers on top of it, and upskill yourself to become a specialist in an area.
Bhim, Halaki, you have already spoken about it. You gave an example of Udi movie, and then you know, uh, built on that. That cybersecurity is not all about hacking and coding. But can you give some more examples of cybersecurity roles that are not necessarily very technical or they don't involve highly technical expertise?
Yes. Right. So definitely, I'll give an example. For example, if I take an example of a bank, let's take an example of a bank again, because I always like to take examples people can relate to it. Right. For example, there is an HDFC Bank. Right. HDFC Bank has got a large team of people working, and they've got a large team of security professionals also working for it. All right. But at the same time, there has to be certain people at a level of mid-level to higher level management, for example. Certain roles below also is there, but mid-level and higher level management, who will be able to understand the entire business. Uh, the core business is banking business, right? It is not IT. IT or the information security that you're putting is to support your business. So to support that particular business and also to be in business, the HDFC Bank has to comply or to certain regulations, right? They have to comply to the RBI regulations. They have to comply to the IRDI regulations. There are a lot of regulations that have been put in place so that they follow. So for carrying out the risk analysis as to if you don't follow these regulations, or if you follow these regulations but there are certain loopholes, what will happen? What will be your the impact to the business or impact to the people that are working in the organization? So this kind of risk analysis is also part of what we call as the cybersecurity industry or information security vertical that we call it as. And these are not highly technical, but they require skills like problem solving. There will be skills like analytical thinking and design thinking, these kind of skills, and also very looking at things in a very critical manner and trying to solve those problems. And a lot of people who have worked in the armed forces, who have spent 15, 20 years or more and all that, will definitely fit into these roles. Because now, over a period of time, with the annual inspections and a lot of other stuff that we do, we have developed that critical thinking, and also, we are very also strictly to rules that you have to follow certain rules, and we have to comply. If there is an order that comes from the headquarters, command headquarters, or the IHQ or something like that, there are no two choices about it. You have to follow it.
So basically, you are saying that cybersecurity जो है वो it's a multidisciplinary field
Yes.
जिसमें बहुत सारे skills वो involved हैं, and there are roles like risk analyst, there are compliance officers, communication specialists, etc., etc. तो मतलब there is a piece for everyone depending upon individuals' aptitude, right?
Yes, sir. You got it right exactly. So it's a multi-layered thing. It's not necessary that you have to be highly technical. Understanding technology is always good, but you don't have to be highly technical in this particular aspect. That's what I. You got it right. You got it.
So the actually during our discussion, my next question was cybersecurity is actually kind of synonymous, often synonymous with hacking. That is what is the common perception.
Yes.
And how would you clarify the diverse aspects of cybersecurity beyond hacking? Like, and I think you have more or less covered. We have more or less covered that aspect. So I'll skip the question, and we'll go to the takeaway message. What message would you give to someone who is considering cybersecurity but is, intimidated? Like I was the one. I wanted to go to cybersecurity, but somebody told me it's highly technical. So I was kind of intimidated by its perceived complexity, I would say.
Yes, and you're not alone. I would say that you're not alone. Even I am in that particular boat where even when I was doing some IT appointments within Navy, also I was literally scared about this getting into the security, the other jumping onto the other side, because there's always that component of highly technical, highly technical hacking part of it which intimidates you, which is almost like I would say that you're looking people looking from outside in the armed forces are thinking that everybody is a commando, right? So it's not like that. Those it's
Right.
so I would say that if you are considering cybersecurity as a profession, then that's one aspect of it. There's another aspect of it is also to be aware of the cybersecurity or information security aspects and how it fits into your respective managerial roles or your respective domains. For example, if you are a logistics, you have a specialization of logistics, or you're going into physical security, you're highly specialized in that. You're very comfortable in that particular domain. But nowadays there is no escape to security because cyber crime is everywhere. There is corporates, individuals, everybody, smaller, bigger organizations, even manufacturing, core manufacturing organizations like pharma, electrical cable manufacturers, they are also getting affected by the cyber crimes and attacks and all that, because IT is the enabler. The network infrastructure of the IT infrastructure as enabler, and you're putting security in place to put this to secure that infrastructure, right? So if you are considering, even if you're not considering cybersecurity as a serious profession, being aware of what is happening, studying about it will clear a lot of things. One example I give you how to start about studying is, don't have to go into highly technical things. Start studying about some cases that have happened, right? For example, there is a case that has happened in US where a pipeline, the Colonial Pipelines case, we call it as you know, a very popular cyber attack that happened where the pipelines that were pumping gas or petrol in our language from west coast of US to east coast of US were hacked by a very highly specialized Russian hacking group. Now, you know, if you study this kind of a case, it will be very interesting, as to how these people have entered and how they have done this particular thing, how it affected. It became a national emergency in 2020 for a country like America. Highly. So if you study, there's so much of interest that gets generated into that, and such cases are available. A lot of that is available, and then you will come across certain terms like ransomware and the other stuff which is there. So now you carry each one of them and go and study. It'll generate a lot of interest because this is a very glamorous world. This cybersecurity world has got so much of jargon and so much of glamour in it that it'll attract you automatically if you study this kind of a thing. But yes, like you mentioned earlier, that there is a pie for everyone. If you are aware of this, then if you study this, then the choices are come to people like us who can mentor or something like that. We can definitely put you through the right channel as to how to consider cybersecurity. But definitely no need for intimidation. There is a place for everyone.
Thank you, Beam, and thank you joining us today. आज का ये जो फर्स्ट पार्ट है वो we'll end it here only, and in the next part we'll talk about who should pursue cybersecurity. So before you people go, please hit the subscribe button and join the Value Talks YouTube channel. Value Talks is a platform which adds value to everything, in your life. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon in our next part.